Without YouTube, I could not have learnt Linux. It's, I'm afraid, as simple as that. And if you think of YouTube, you have just about any and every subject at your fingertips in video form to learn and demonstrate and to get simple concepts across, hopefully very efficiently. And that's why it's so perfect for something like Linux. Certainly if you're getting down into the terminal and the command line and the system, underneath the hood, behind the scenes, that's what it's so great for in an accessible way. That's not to say I don't use things like articles, and people ask questions for things like Stack Overflow, I guess, and the equivalents for Linux and Unix, and of course other resources on the internet. However, having something visually demonstrated in a audio and visual way that correlates to what you do personally is invaluable, and inevitably it's so much easier having that as a reference point than just an article. So what I want to do today is I want to, in a way, give a bit of, well, thanks, I guess, and gratitude to the Linux YouTubers or the people who've done Linux on their channels that gave me the foundations so I could build the house that I now stand on, so to speak, on Linux. I could not have done it without these Linux YouTubers. There's no point pretending about it, and hopefully I'll be able to help you by making you aware of these people if you're not already, so that you can have the house of Linux that is good for you. So we will kind of just get into it, I think. So let's look at the screen, and let's start off really with the OG. Now, he's not technically the OG Linux person, or let's say did the first ever Linux videos, of course, on YouTube, but I feel that a lot of Linux YouTubers owe their kind of, not existence, but the reason why they got into Linux so deeply, and why they maybe even made their Linux channels, so to speak, because of Luke Smith. And I know he's kind of stepped away from YouTube now, is obviously gone on a certain path in life that doesn't include technology, let's say. But interestingly, I came across him because I was looking for a new laptop, and I wanted to have a look at ThinkPads, compact ThinkPads. And I think it was one of the first ever videos he did that came up on YouTube. And it was actually by sort of circumstance, because I had actually used Linux. I wasn't so experienced with Linux and so deep in Linux, but I had been using it. But I was sort of flittering between Windows and Linux. This was some years ago. And he had an X200, sorry, and he was comparing its speed against something else. I think it had an SSD, solid state drive, against a spinning disk drive. And then, of course, through circumstance, I then looked at his other videos that showed Linux and the possibilities. And what was and is so great about him, really, he showed you how with just really simple principles, simple technology, having extensibility, you could build whatever you wanted that worked for you, the system that you liked, and that really everything I've done has been because of Luke Smith, in the idea of I could build a system that was bespoke for me. Because if you look at what he made, is it Labs or whatever you can download, is effectively his system that you can try out. And the great thing, of course, is it is just everything that's necessary. Now, obviously, it's what's necessary for him, might not be what's necessary for you, but it showed you the possibilities. And interestingly, what was great and what I liked about his videos is he didn't really edit them. As you can tell, I do not edit my videos pretty much. And he wasn't fussed about lighting and all this stuff. Just gave you no distractions, core concepts, and a good way to get into Linux at a deeper level and understand concepts. That's really what's so great about his channel. So have a look at his videos. That's how I started. So I would start off with Luke Smith. Okay, let's just move on from there. So around the same time when Luke started, there was also Derek Taylor, also his channel's called DistroTube. And interestingly, he started off sort of similar to Luke. So Luke really was terminal based, extensible programs, simple programs in the X environment, X11. And interesting, DistroTube, by name you'd assume is all about distros, but he does review distros. As you can see, his latest video, still uploading, is about distros. But if you go back in time, go back to the origins of DistroTube some years ago, he was doing a lot of terminal based programs, and again was a big part in introducing me to various programs that I could use in the terminal. Great YouTuber. Look at his playlist, you'll find lots of great stuff in the past. Still does Linux videos, of course, but he seems to have gone a more graphical environment, let's say, or less terminal based, but he still uses a terminal, of course. So there we go, DistroTube's great. So have a look up at DistroTube if you want to get some idea of different programs for the terminal, and to have a sort of current idea about Linux distributions. If that's your thing, he's very good on that. Just delve into his channel. Okay, next person. Now, in a way, Gotbletu is one of the true OGs, because he has been going for well over, let's say a decade and a half now, I think. And he's still uploading videos, as you can see, 4 days ago, after all these years, has 1.1k videos, so does upload a lot. Great thing, again, Gotbletu shows you a lot of terminal-based stuff. He has built his own little scripts for, programs. Again, he's all about the terminal and the command line, and really great resource for all these types of programs. So again, just building on your learning for Linux. And what else I would say is he introduced me to the frame buffer. I'd never really appreciated the frame buffer, but he had done some videos on using certain videos. I don't know, actually I can't remember, but he introduced me to the frame buffer. A couple of videos he did, fantastic. I think it was like screen capture and all this kind of stuff, recording, and then really that gave me the idea to build up from there. So fantastic, thanks Gotbletu. Okay, the next person is fantastic, really, Chris Occhipinti. If you want to know shell scripting, if you want to know programming, let's say, if you want to know how to build everything from the command line, if you so want to, Chris Occhipinti has it in spades, because he's still making videos. It's kind of tragic in a way, not for Chris, because this is not his job. He is a fireman, he says in his videos, but he doesn't really get the views. And okay, I know that terminal based stuff is not necessarily literally the most popular, but it's kind of crazy to me that he's been going since the late 2000s, still making videos, still in his spare time, doing command line, shell stuff, bash stuff, but absolutely brilliant. Learning so much from him, still learning so much from him. Watch his videos, go through the playlist. You can learn everything you need to know about shell scripting, bash scripting, and indeed programming. He's got so much there and still uploading. So yeah, Chris Occhipinti, absolutely brilliant. Mwah, there you go, chef's kiss for Chris Occhipinti. I hope that's not inappropriate, because that sounds wrong. But so then let's move on to Brody Robertson, who is really one of the most active Linux YouTubers I'm covering here, and just seems to be going from strength to strength. So well done, Brody, who's been around for 5 or 6 years now, and mainly does news items now. Interestingly, a bit like DistroTube, if you go back to his origins, he was very much terminal. Well, I would say, yeah, it covered a lot of terminal-based programs, a lot of minimal programs, let's say. But what's great about, if you go back to those early videos, he gives an excellent understanding of how things work, configurations and so forth. Definitely look at his old videos if you want to understand Linux at a fundamental level, and watch his modern videos if you want to understand really the Linux environment with different things like Wayland and X11 and different, let's say, distributions, but window managers or desktop environments. He's really good at that. So yeah, well done, Brody. Keep up the good work, let's say. And he has a couple of other channels as well where he does interviews. Unbelievably active and one of the hardest working Linux YouTubers, I would say. So yeah, definitely check him out. And you know, again, I think one of his inspirations was, funny enough, Luke Smith, who, you know, obviously gave him a shout out back in the day. Maybe I will get a shout out, I doubt it. So then we come to Mental Outlaw, who again is sort of out of the let's say the stable of Luke Smith origins, where again he was sort of doing early on some Linux stuff based in a terminal, but very quickly he went into a bit like Brody, but more general tech now, but perfectly good, very well researched, very good videos, like Brody, but more for general tech. Does include still a lot of Linux stuff. Very interesting. I think his real name is Kenny. One of the most popular of the Linux YouTubers on YouTube after just really 4 or 5 years. So yeah, definitely check out his videos if you want to know what's going on in the world of tech, and maybe go through his old videos. He's got some good stuff, I think, on cryptocurrency and stuff like that, which is all the rage at the moment again. So yeah, Mental Outlaws, fantastic. Still, again, regularly posting videos. And Learn Linux TV. Now, interestingly, okay, I just want to say off the bat, Learn Linux TV is really more, I don't know, it's hard to say about this. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of this channel, mainly because it's just sort of gone away where it's very much about the graphical environment and about some server-based. Look, the guy is you know, based around server distributions, really, or not even that. His origins are, I think he's an administrator for servers, and that's where it's experienced. But obviously that also interacts with the command line, therefore, in the terminal. But I will say his tutorials are fantastic. Just breaks it down very simply. If you, again, you want to learn complex commands, or not even complex commands, but commands in the terminal, simple programs, he does an excellent job of breaking those down. So I think he calls it like a crash course for Linux and stuff like this. So look at his playlist, look at his videos. He's actually even more popular than Mental Outlaw. So you know, he's very, very good. I'm just saying it's not really my kind of thing anymore. But as you know, he's done a couple of videos recently based on DNS lookup and resolve hostname. But again, if you're in servers, maybe he's more about what you're interested in. Okay. Now, really, these are more sort of honorary mentions who, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but interestingly, so Kai Hendry, who he's actually a professional developer, I believe, but he did a lot of videos on Linux, mainly in the past. Now, occasionally still makes videos, as you can see, not so often, but occasionally. But he's also been going for a long time on YouTube, and he did some interesting videos on, say, Linux, a very minimal install Linux with Arch Linux, DWM, and really was one of the first people of this group who I can think of who covered things like DWM and having a simple Linux installation. Interestingly, he used things like syslinux or something, sysboot or something. He wouldn't use things like grub, for example. He wouldn't use like Network Manager even. He would use not IWCT, but whatever, you know, again, really just putting your login credentials in a file. So there you go, interesting. But you'd have to go back probably to 2014 or something for that kind of video. So again, Kai Hendry, you know, really good. If you're into programming concepts and principles, he's good for that clearly as well. Big fan of the Go programming language, I seem to remember. You can even see something about Go there. I don't remember what that is. Anyway, so yeah, Kai Hendry, great. Been going for some time now. And then another honourable mention, hasn't uploaded in some months, Mark McNally, a fellow Brit, although he lives on the Channel Islands. He's done lots of videos, again, sort of centred around terminal-based stuff. He's got some Python stuff here, but again, based around more terminal-based stuff. I think he's a system administrator, so again, that sort of makes sense. I think he's a really good YouTuber, and he makes fun videos, sort of some of them very manic and mad. I don't know if that's your thing. Not necessarily anybody's thing, but it's just interesting the way he does it. So hopefully we'll see some more videos from him. But an honourable mention, because I remember he got me into GNU Screen, which I do use quite a lot for various things. So I didn't go the Teamups route, I went the GNU Screen route. So there we go. Those are my suggestions. If you want to learn Linux, start off looking at these channels. These will give you fundamental concepts, fundamental understandings, allow you to build a system that works for you. And of course, after that, then go on to the deep dive, look at articles, look at questions on things like Stack Overflow, whatever it's called, all this kind of thing. But videos are great. YouTube is great for this kind of stuff if you want to learn Linux. And hopefully I'm contributing in my own small way. So there we go. There's my list of Linux YouTuber recommendations. So you know what to do with the fake YouTube thing. You can like, comment and subscribe. And I want to give special thanks to Sean and HTX80Nerd, who, if you haven't been watching these videos by now and not to the end, you'll know have memberships on this channel, whether it's Patreon or through YouTube. Look into the description below if you want to find more information. And that gives them perks like early video access and has their name at the end of the screen, as you should be seeing now. So we will leave it there, and I'll see you in the next one.